Hector Souza, a Mexican millionaire, lost his wallet full of money in a poor neighborhood while traveling with his daughter. When a street kid found it and returned it intact, he asked for something unusual as a reward, which made the experienced millionaire and his daughter burst into tears. Hector Souza was on a ferry, returning from a tourist trip to the city of San Diego, California, when he realized that his wallet was no longer in his pants pocket. The man was a millionaire who had even been covered by Forbes years before, as in addition to being part of Mexico's elite super-rich, Hector Souza was best known as a philanthropist. Since the 1990s, he has invested in large retail chains while raising large amounts of money to bring food, clothing, and medical care to people in his country and Latin America who are experiencing difficulties. That day, the millionaire was at a tourist attraction on the west coast of the United States, accompanied by his daughter, Margarita Souza, who had just turned 18. The girl had already traveled to that country with her father a few times, but she had never spent enough time there to know everything she wanted to. When he reached the age of majority, he asked that the celebration be held in the United States. Her father then took a week's vacation to accompany her. The philanthropist called one of his friends, who was the manager of a chain of luxury hotels in California, and explained the situation. The man organized the entire trip for the businessman and Margarita as if it were for his own daughter. Father and daughter had been in the United States for 3 days. They had seen Disney, passed through Los Angeles, and now they were in San Diego, where they had just visited Coronado Island and still wanted to see the zoo or water park the next day. Despite being a valued destination in that region, Coronado had a poor neighborhood with a large Mexican community, and Hector wanted to get to know its streets and people. Margarita was not happy that her father included the visit to the site on her birthday. After all, she had no interest in poor neighborhoods in the United States, but the young woman put up with it so as not to create an issue. It was summer, and the boat was full of tourists. Father and daughter had already done one of the routes and were returning to the city. It was when the boat was already close to the port that Hector looked in his pocket for his wallet and did not find it. He searched other pockets, asked if his daughter had seen it, and looked around. Daisy asked if it had been a while since he had used the wallet, and Hector said he had only used his money on the island, when he visited the poor neighborhood and bought a souvenir from the place. "You know, I told you not to go there, Father." "Of course you were robbed," protested Daisy. Hector corrected his daughter, as he didn't know if it had been stolen. He said that he himself may have lost his wallet somewhere, including on that boat full of tourists from all over the world. Daisy then replied, "Look at the people around us. Surely they would have returned it by now if they had found it, don't you think?" Hector said only that he hoped that whoever took or found his wallet would get in touch and return it. Margarita didn't know it, but soon it would have a serious impact on her life. More than 2 hours later, back at the hotel, Hector Souza hadn't received a call from anyone who had found his wallet. The tour boat staff also looked everywhere and found nothing. They were apprehensive, as the millionaire could even sue the transport company, but no one showed more concern than Margarita Souza, the daughter of that powerful man. She knew that in addition to cash, there were several credit cards in her father's wallet that were absolutely necessary for his long-awaited birthday celebration. Nervous, Margarita said that her father had most certainly been robbed while they were on the island. "Don't you realize these people use you, Dad? You went to that poor neighborhood with such goodwill that they ended up making a fool of you," she said, irritated. "And on my birthday, you took me just to the periphery? Look what we got out of it." Hector took a deep breath and said that he loved Daisy, but that she had to learn more about life. He was coming of age, but he still had a lot to live for. "Do you think life has been good and easy for me forever?" "I've been to the other side, girl," said the philanthropist. Hector reminded her that he himself had been born in a poor neighborhood in Mexico City. His mother was a cook, and his father was a tailor. At the age of 14, Hector started working in a department store in the capital to help with household expenses. He was only able to study what he wanted when he was already 24, at which time he had a supervisory position at the store. He told his daughter that he had to swallow a lot of frogs from bosses and clients to get to that position, that he had taken many buses in his life to be able to go to work every day, and sometimes he couldn't even eat breakfast. Other times, I had to skip lunch. But things had worked out for him in the end. I got lucky, you know? Luck can also change a life, my daughter, he said. He remembered when he met his wife, Margarita's mother, at the end of college, and how she died of tuberculosis. Although he was already a very wealthy man, nothing money could buy was enough to save his wife from illness. It was a heavy blow to his life, but it was also a reminder that he must remain humble. And it was after this sad episode, when Margarita was only 3 years old, that Hector Souza also became known as a philanthropist. Although plans to celebrate the anniversary had been derailed, at least he and Daisy could be safe in the comfort of a 5-star hotel that had already been paid for a month earlier, a privilege for few people in this world, he remembered. The daughter listened in silence. The next day, the millionaire's phone rang. It was a number he didn't know. When he answered, the person on the other end of the line said he had his wallet and gave him an address that was a bit far away, outside the tourist area. Seeing her father get up with a smile on his face, Daisy protested. "Dad, think about it. It could be a scam or a trap. Who says they actually found your wallet?" Hector replied that it wouldn't be a problem. The caller had a child's voice and sounded trustworthy. Daisy then called the security guard, who escorted them whenever necessary and explained what was happening. The security guard appeared in Margarita's room and tried to make Hector give up going to that address, but Hector simply replied that he would trust his intuition, looking for his wallet to continue with the celebrations that trip promised. And so the three left the luxury hotel and headed towards the nearby avenue. As the security guard drove down the avenue, they left the tourist area and arrived in another neighborhood, much more modest and less lit. Daisy was scared. Her birthday had turned into a dangerous adventure. Every motorcycle that passed their car made her heart race. If they stopped at a traffic light, then she would become tense and immobile, looking at the vehicles around her as if she expected a hand to point a gun at them. Having a bodyguard along didn't make the girl feel any more reassured or protected. That place was very strange. Hector was not afraid at all. Somehow, that place reminded him of his youth. Daisy didn't understand how her father could be so relaxed. After all, it wasn't just his safety that was at stake, but hers as well. Finally, they arrived at the indicated place, in a region full of very simple houses. Security wouldn't let Hector get out of the car. He clapped his hands, and indeed a child appeared. He had the man's wallet in his small hands. He waited at the gate while the security guard took the item to the philanthropist. Hector soon saw that it was his wallet, and when he opened it, he saw that all his documents, cards, and money were still there. Not a penny was missing. The boy must have been 13 at most. He was skinny, with lively eyes and plain clothes that didn't look very new. He certainly wasn't much better off than Hector was when he was that age. The millionaire then got out of the car with his daughter and thanked the boy for returning his wallet. "Boy, you saved me a lot of headaches." "Thank you," he said. The boy took advantage of the friendliness of that well-dressed man and asked if he could give him $2. Hearing this, Daisy started laughing nervously. "Hey, see? I did not say good thing we brought security," she said. "What's the matter, daughter?" asked Hector. "Give him all the money right away before his cronies show up, Dad. Let's get out of here." The boy was embarrassed by Margarita's reaction and explained, "It's nothing like that, ma'am. I just don't have a phone, so I needed to use the only money I had to call you from a public phone. I spent the night begging on the street, but I didn't get anything. So I used the money I was saving to buy my sister a cupcake. Tomorrow is her birthday." Hector was interested in the boy's story and asked him to tell more, much to Daisy's complete horror. The boy then introduced himself as Paul and stated that he had little recollection of his past or his early years. He had not known his father and had lived with his mother and sister on the streets for over a year. A few blocks away was a space where several homeless people gathered to spend the night, and that was where what was left of his family was. Paul said that when he was still young, they lived in a small apartment. He remembered having a birthday and the cake his mother made to celebrate. It had been the only party the boy had ever had. The cake was small, and all she had to sing happy birthday to was her mother and little sister, but it was the happiest memory she had, and now, even though they'd been evicted, he wanted to make sure his sister felt the same happiness. So Paul was begging for money on the street to try to buy his sister a cake. Daisy can't contain her tears and takes her hands to her chest. The girl, who until recently was scared of that place and suspicious of the boy's intentions, now felt ashamed for having made such hasty judgments. To complete the set, Paul's sister had the same birthday as her. Surprising everyone, Margarita handed Paul a card from the luxury hotel she was staying at, telling him, his mother, and sisters to go there the next day. She asked her father for permission and opened his wallet, taking out $300 bills and handing them to the boy. "Paul, use this money to buy clothes for you and your family, okay? If not, unfortunately, you may not even be able to get to the hotel reception," she said. Then everyone said goodbye. On the way back, Hector Souza asked the security guard to take them to the restaurant he had reserved for Margarita's birthday celebration. But she stops him and asks them to go straight back to the hotel. "What are you listening to, daughter?" the millionaire wanted to know. "Dad, what we would spend on one night in this place would feed Paul's family for a month. Let's just go back to the hotel, and we'll order a pizza while we plan what to do tomorrow, okay?" Hector agreed. He turned and looked proudly at his daughter. His years as a philanthropist seemed to have finally had some positive effect on his daughter. Early the next day, Paul, his sister Cindy, and his mother Elizabeth managed to go to a clothing store. They left there with brand new pieces and feeling very good. The money that Margarita had given them was enough not only for the clothes, but also for breakfast that they hadn't had for over a year, to pay for the bus tickets to the hotel, and they still had some left over. When they arrived at the place and realized that it was a 5-star hotel, they became shy. Paul's mother always dreamed of visiting a place like that, and now that she was there, she didn't know how to act. Upon entering the lobby, a receptionist led the family to a garden with green lawn and a table with flowers and colorful decorations. Paul's sister said it was the most beautiful place she had ever seen. Her eyes sparkled. Daisy appeared and said that it was everything for her, and the girl could not contain her happiness. Hector had asked his friend who supervised the chain of hotels to invite all the families staying with children to a birthday party, and indeed many of them came out into the garden, running and playing with Cindy and Paul. Daisy was as happy as the children. For the first time, she understood how her father felt about helping people. Paul and Cindy tasted mousse for the first time and slathered it on a huge chocolate cake. Elizabeth, Cindy, and Paul's mother, Mary, were thrilled with all that and got a hug from Daisy, who was also trying to hold back tears on her first day at 18 years old. Hector knew that one birthday party would not be enough to help this family. Then he took Elizabeth to her hotel supervisor friend. The millionaire explained that he was very surprised to see that her son had returned the wallet in the same condition in which it was found, despite the difficulty in which he and his family lived. And if the son had such a nature, that could only be a reflection of a good upbringing. "I congratulate you on your integrity," he said, and Elizabeth thanked him. The hotel supervisor then said maybe he could help her. "Recently, I found out that my head cleaner was involved in a petty theft scheme inside the hotel. She and 2 employees were stealing items from our foreign guests that they didn't realize until they returned to their countries," said the supervisor, leaving Elizabeth confused. Then the man explained that when they identified those involved, they fired everyone, and now they needed to renew the team, which should be headed by a person of integrity and a lot of confidence. I don't know if it was just luck or something else, Elizabeth, but when your son returned that wallet intact, he changed the fate of your entire family. If you want, I'd like the position of head chambermaid to be yours. What do you say? Said the supervisor. Elizabeth's mouth dropped open. He had never dreamed that one day he would set foot in a hotel like that, and now he was attending not only a party for his daughter, but also receiving a job offer. Embarrassed, she said she didn't know if she had the skills for the position, and the supervisor promptly replied, "Well, Miss Elizabeth, the most important thing you already have is character and integrity." The following week, the life of that family dawned differently. Paul and Cindy took the bus to school. They had new clothes and school supplies. Elizabeth took a bus to the edge of town, where she checked into a 5-star hotel to start her new job. She felt like the luckiest woman in the world. Hector and Margarita, on the other hand, continued the trip they had planned, but nothing else provided the same happiness that Margarita had felt during the party in the hotel garden. She looked at her father and finally realized why he was never content with just being a millionaire. What really made him fulfilled was doing good for others. Now she understood that. If you liked the story, I ask you to please leave a like, and this other video that is appearing on the screen now will probably move you too. Good session, and until the next video.